The dangers of avoiding discomfort. Have you ever found yourself shying away from challenges or uncomfortable situations? Many of us do, but avoiding discomfort can have serious consequences. In this video, I'll share my personal experiences and the 5 ways avoiding discomfort can ruin your life. As someone who has struggled with this in the past, I've learned firsthand the importance of embracing discomfort. I'll provide practical advice and actionable steps to help you overcome your fear of discomfort and unlock your full potential. Get ready to discover the transformative power of embracing discomfort and how it can lead to a more fulfilling and meaningful life. 1. Limiting personal growth. The comfort zone trap. Stagnation. I used to feel stuck in a rut, doing the same things day in and day out. I wasn't growing or learning anything new, and it was starting to get me down. I knew I needed to make a change, so I started by setting small, achievable goals. I decided to learn a new skill, take a class, or try a new hobby. It was scary at first, but I pushed through my fear and took the plunge. Once I started stepping outside of my comfort zone, I discovered a whole new world of possibilities. I learned new things, met new people, and gained a sense of accomplishment. It's important to remember that breaking out of stagnation takes time and effort. Don't get discouraged if you don't see results immediately. Just keep moving forward, one small step at a time. If you want to read, make a small step, read 1 page a day. If you want to run, make a small step, run for a 1 kilometer. After a while, you will see that comfort zone trap is only in your mind. The regret of missed opportunities. I've often looked back on my life and wondered about the paths I didn't take, the opportunities I didn't pursue. The fear of failure had held me back, preventing me from stepping outside my comfort zone and exploring new possibilities. The regret was a heavy weight on my shoulders. I felt a sense of longing and a longing for what could have been. It was a constant reminder of the choices I had made and the potential I had missed out on. It was a painful realization, but it also served as a wake-up call. I knew I couldn't change the past, but I could make different choices going forward. I decided to start taking risks, stepping outside my comfort zone, and seizing opportunities as they came my way. Focusing on the past and worrying about the future will bring you nothing. The main thing is just focus on the now. How can you improve your situation now? Worrying is like paying a debt you don't owe. Mark Twain. The paralyzing fear of failure. I've always been a bit of a perfectionist. I'd often find myself paralyzed by the fear of failure, avoiding challenges and opportunities that could have led to incredible growth. It was a vicious cycle. The more I avoided failure, the more I feared it. This fear manifested in various ways. I'd procrastinate on tasks, dreading the possibility of making mistakes. I'd shy away from new experiences, sticking to what was familiar and comfortable. And I'd often find myself second-guessing my decisions, paralyzed by the fear of negative consequences. It was exhausting and limiting. I felt like I was missing out on so much, trapped in a shell of my own making. The fear of failure was holding me back from living a full and meaningful life. I started by identifying the specific things that I was afraid of failing at. Once I pinpointed my fears, I could start to address them. I broke down my goals into smaller, more manageable steps. This helped me feel less overwhelmed and more confident in my ability to succeed. I also practiced positive self-talk. Instead of focusing on my fears, I tried to replace negative thoughts with positive affirmations. It wasn't easy, but with persistence and practice, I was able to overcome my fear of failure. Now, I'm more confident, more resilient, and more willing to take risks. Remember, it's okay to feel afraid, but don't let fear hold you back. Take small steps, practice positive self-talk, and believe in yourself. With effort and determination, you can overcome your fear of failure and achieve your goals. 2. Hindering relationships. The empathy gap. I used to be so focused on myself that I struggled to see things from other people's perspectives. I was often insensitive and inconsiderate, oblivious to the feelings of those around me. It was a lonely and isolating experience. I remember a time when a friend was going through a difficult breakup. Instead of offering support and understanding, I focused on my own problems and how this situation might affect me. It was a terrible thing to do, and I felt guilty and ashamed afterward. Avoiding discomfort, in this case, meant avoiding empathy. It meant putting my own needs and wants above the needs and feelings of others. It was a selfish and harmful way to live. I realized that I needed to change, so I started making a conscious effort to see things from other people's perspectives. I would try to put myself in their shoes and imagine how they might be feeling. I also started practicing active listening. When someone was talking to me, I would focus on what they were saying and try to understand their point of view. I would avoid interrupting or judging them. I started to build stronger relationships and feel more connected to the people around me. Overcoming my lack of empathy has been one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. It has helped me to become a more compassionate and understanding person, and it has enriched my relationships in countless ways. The fear of confrontation. I used to be terrified of conflict. I'd go out of my way to avoid disagreements, even if it meant compromising my own needs or values. I believed that confrontation was negative and should be avoided at all costs. This fear of conflict led to a lot of resentment and frustration. I felt like I was constantly putting others' needs before my own, and it was taking a toll on my mental health. I was also afraid to speak up for myself, which limited my opportunities and kept me feeling stuck. It wasn't until I realized that avoiding conflict was actually causing more harm than good. I started to see that healthy conflict can be a valuable tool for resolving issues and strengthening relationships. I began to practice assertive communication, expressing my needs and boundaries in a clear and respectful way. I also learned to listen to others' perspectives and find common ground. Overcoming my fear of conflict has been a challenging but rewarding process. I've developed stronger relationships, gained a sense of agency, and learned to advocate for myself. It's a skill that I'm grateful to have developed, and I encourage others to do the same. The missed connections. I used to be so afraid of rejection and embarrassment that I often avoided reaching out to people or pursuing new opportunities. I was afraid of putting myself out there and risking failure. This fear of discomfort led to a lot of missed connections. I missed out on friendships, romantic relationships, and career opportunities. I felt isolated and alone, longing for deeper connections with others. It was a painful realization, but it motivated me to change my ways. I started to reach out to people. I joined social groups, volunteered, and attended networking events. At first, it was scary and uncomfortable, but as I continued to put myself out there, I started to build stronger relationships and discover new opportunities. I realized that the fear of rejection was holding me back. Don't let it hold you back too. 3. Affecting mental health. The anxiety trap. I used to be so afraid of feeling uncomfortable that I would avoid anything that might trigger anxiety or stress. I'd stick to my routine, avoid new situations, and try to control every aspect of my life. This constant avoidance led to a cycle of anxiety and fear. The more I avoided discomfort, the more anxious I became. I was always on edge, anticipating the next potential threat. My mind was racing, and I struggled to focus or relax. It was exhausting and debilitating. I felt trapped and helpless, unable to break free from the cycle of fear and avoidance. To break free, I started identifying the specific things that made me uncomfortable and gradually exposing myself to them. At first, it was terrifying. I felt my heart racing, my palms sweating, and my mind racing with anxious thoughts. But I forced myself to push through the discomfort, reminding myself that it was temporary. With each exposure, I became a little less afraid. I learned that discomfort was not a threat, but rather a natural part of life. By facing my fears, I was able to reduce my anxiety and regain control of my life. Remember, avoiding discomfort can lead to a cycle of anxiety and stress. By facing your fears and embracing challenges, you can break free from this cycle and live a more fulfilling life. The self-doubt spiral. I used to be so afraid of failure that I would avoid any challenge or opportunity that might lead to disappointment. I believed that if I didn't try, I couldn't fail. But this avoidance was slowly eroding my self-confidence and self-esteem. I felt like a fraud, constantly comparing myself to others and finding myself lacking. I was afraid to put myself out there, to share my ideas or pursue my dreams. The fear of failure was holding me back from living a full and meaningful life. To break free from the cycle of self-doubt, I started by setting small, achievable goals and celebrating my successes, no matter how small. I also practiced positive self-talk, replacing negative thoughts with affirmations and encouragement. I focused on my strengths and accomplishments rather than dwelling on my perceived shortcomings. Gradually, as I overcame challenges and achieved my goals, my self-confidence began to grow. I realized that failure was not the end of the world, but rather an opportunity to learn and grow. Remember, the fear of failure is a normal human emotion. But by facing your fears and believing in yourself, you can break free from the cycle of self-doubt and live a more fulfilling life. 4. Limiting career opportunities. The risk-averse trap. This fear of discomfort limited my growth and prevented me from pursuing my true passions. I felt trapped in a job that I wasn't passionate about, just going through the motions day after day. The missed opportunities weighed heavily on me. I couldn't help but wonder what my life would be like if I had taken more risks. I felt a sense of regret and longing, wishing I had had the courage to pursue my dreams. I had to confront my fear of failure. I started by setting small, achievable goals and gradually increasing the level of risk. With each small step, I gained confidence and became more willing to take risks. I started applying for jobs outside my comfort zone, pursuing new projects, and networking with people in my industry. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. By overcoming my fear of discomfort, I was able to pursue my passions and achieve my career goals. Lack of adaptability. Fear of change. I used to be so resistant to change. I liked things to be predictable and routine. Whenever faced with a new challenge or opportunity, I would cling to the familiar, afraid of stepping outside my comfort zone. This fear of change hindered my career growth in many ways. I missed out on promotions, new projects, and opportunities to learn and develop new skills. I felt stuck in my job, unfulfilled and unmotivated. The fear of change also made me feel anxious and insecure. I worried about the unknown, about failing, and about making mistakes. This constant worry was exhausting and draining. I decided to confront my fear of change. I started by identifying the specific things that made me uncomfortable and challenging myself to step outside my comfort zone. I volunteered for additional responsibilities and sought out opportunities to learn new skills. It was scary at times, but I pushed through the discomfort and focused on the benefits of embracing change. As I gradually adapted to change, I began to feel more confident and capable. I again realized that change was not something to be feared, but rather an opportunity for growth and development. Remember, avoiding change can limit your potential and hinder your career growth. By embracing change and stepping outside your comfort zone, you can open yourself up to new opportunities and achieve your goals. 5. Hindered Resilience. Fragile mindset. Avoiding discomfort can make us more susceptible to setbacks and challenges. I used to be so afraid of discomfort that I would avoid any situation that might be challenging or stressful. I wanted to protect myself from pain and disappointment, but in the end, my avoidance made me even more vulnerable. When setbacks and challenges inevitably arose, I was unprepared and overwhelmed. I felt like I was constantly being knocked off balance, unable to cope with the difficulties life threw my way. The fear of discomfort had made me fragile, unable to withstand the ups and downs of life. I realized that I needed to change my approach if I wanted to become more resilient and resilient. I often reminded myself that setbacks were temporary and that I had the strength to overcome them. As I faced challenges and overcame obstacles, I began to feel more resilient and confident. I realized that adversity was not something to be feared, but rather an opportunity for growth and development. Remember, avoiding discomfort can make us more susceptible to setbacks and challenges. By embracing challenges and building resilience, we can become stronger and more adaptable. Reduced coping skills. The inability to handle adversity can limit our resilience and ability to bounce back. When challenges arose, I was overwhelmed and unprepared. I felt like I was constantly being knocked down, unable to get back up. The setbacks seemed insurmountable, and I was filled with despair and hopelessness. I realized that my inability to handle adversity was a direct result of my fear of discomfort. By avoiding challenges, I had missed out on opportunities to build resilience and develop coping mechanisms. To overcome this, I started by setting achievable goals and facing them. Setbacks are temporary, and I knew I had the strength to overcome them. As I faced challenges and overcame obstacles, I began to feel more resilient and confident. I realized that adversity was not something to be feared, but rather an opportunity for growth and development. Remember, avoiding discomfort can make us more susceptible to setbacks and challenges. By embracing challenges and building resilience, we can become stronger and more adaptable. Avoiding discomfort may seem like a way to protect ourselves, but it ultimately limits our potential. By embracing challenges and stepping outside our comfort zone, we can unlock our full potential, build stronger relationships, and live a more fulfilling life. Don't let fear hold you back. Take the first step today and start challenging yourself. Remember, it's okay to feel uncomfortable, but it's worth it in the end. Show some help and share this video. It can help other people too. Till the next time, stay strong and live wisely.